That sounded more like a teletape machine.
What's up, everyone? This is Jason Tucker, and this is Dev Branch, episode number 32, WP Playground's Plugin Problem. We're here
I
live.
love how that was more of a question than a statement of the title, but
Plugins, problems.
Yeah, we have to fire the producer that we have for the show here, and
we are not firing our producer. Nope. Producer has carte blanche, even when they don't make the intro video, and it's just live. There's no music. So yeah, who is that producer?
And forget to switch us over to the Dev Branch stuff from WP Water Cooler. But
I'm doing good stuff here. This is awesome.
Yeah,
11 years in, and he's starting to slip. It's really. I'm just so glad it's not me. Hey, who are you, Jason? Can you introduce yourself? Because you go first.
Yeah, so I'm Jason Tucker. You can find me over at jasontucker.blog.
I'm Say Reed. I am at Say Reed Media on all the things.
and y'all know who it is. It's your boy Jason Cosper, aka Post Formats Malone, back at it again on the world's most influential WordPress podcast.
Oh, we're really not lying now about that. I mean, not that we ever were really lying, but like I was just saying on the pre-show, I'm showing up in all these newsletters. It's like it's a little unnerving.
Yeah.
Influence.
Yeah. I'm like, this is scary.
Exactly. I guess so. So we have guests.
So speaking of influence, yeah, I think we have a really illustrious panel today, spanning multiple time zones, and I am so pleased for all of us to welcome our guests. Aruba, do you want to introduce yourself first?
Sure. Hi, I'm Aruba. I'm a web developer. I make plugins and other things, and I'm happy to be here.
Welcome. Matt, tell us who you are and what you're doing here.
Say made me come. So I'm here. I'm Matt, founder of GiveWP, and I'm here. And I was involved in talking about the playground plugin problem.
Plugin
Problem?
The plugin. It's the plugin plague. No, it's the playground plague. WP plugin. No. WP Playground's plugin problem. There we go. I got it.
Look at you.
Yeah.
Look at
I
me.
had to say it live.
Yeah. Well, you know. We're glad to have you here. And
you.
Our lovely friend of the show and regular Courtney, also known as the Peacemaker.
I don't know if it was that, or I think I heard something response. Ray over at the repository, thank you for the inclusion and the shout out in the newsletter. I think it was detailing the response was how it was worded recently, that I was
The response.
damage control. That's it. Damage control.
Swooping in.
Sure.
Swooping in with the cookies and the warm milk.
Courtney, also have
And the reasonable procedures. Like,
look, I'm not trying
why
to
do you have
like
to be so reasonable, Courtney? Oh
I don't know.
She's so reasonable. She's like pathologically reasonable, actually.
She's like,
I don't know if you know this.
maybe we should talk about these things beforehand. I don't know.
I mean,
here's a proposal that maybe should have happened before, but here we go. We're here at last.
Yeah. And look,
So for the people
bring us
tuning
into-
in, the people listening to the podcast who do not know what the hell we're talking about, how about we go ahead and
it's fresh.
summarize
With a P.
what occurred this week? Say
I think one of our guests should do it. They were
Okay.
all
Thursday.
aware of it in real time happening. So I feel like, as was I, but like, I think
Yeah, go,
one of you
Matt.
should
I
take it
could
away.
summarize from my perspective because I got to it pretty early. So a lot of this happened because they triggered stuff in Australia time, which is super fun. Where like most of the rest of the WordPress community doesn't live in that time zone at all. But I woke up and I was like, oh, this looks fun on Twitter. I saw it on Twitter. I'm not going to say the other name. It's Twitter. I was like, oh, a fun live preview thing. I wonder how you enable that.
What that does.
I would love to figure out how to enable that on my plugin if it works really well. And then I went about my work and started doing stuff, and I was like,
oh, it didn't even occur to you to go look like that.
I was like assuming for sure that I would have to enable it when it was ready to be enabled. I was assuming that for sure. So I went about my work doing other stuff. And then I was like, I wonder if people are talking about this in Slack. I went over to WordPress Slack and I was like, oh yeah, there's some convo here about it. And I was like, oh, here's the commit. Oh, this looks like, is this everywhere? This is everywhere.
Production.
Let me go check. Then I went to Give WP, of course, and I was like, the button is on my plugin.
You went to your repo, your plugin repo.
I went to wordpress.org/plugin/give, and the live preview button was there. I was like, oh wow, I didn't opt into this, but okay, let's test this out. This sounds great.
Did you have to talk yourself through clicking it? Did you just click it really
jump right in? Let me check this out.
Okay.
I had checked out Playground before. Playground is awesome. So and then I clicked on it and I was like, oh, this sucks. This is super this is terrible. This is bad news. This can't be.
So you didn't give any? There was no donation that occurred?
I was like, take it down. Take.
No, stop.
Did you start yelling at your people going like, who enabled this? What's going on?
A live thread. I was like, okay, I know nobody's awake for the next 6 hours, but we got to figure out how to make this work with Playground immediately because there's no opt-out, and I'm going to work on an opt-out, but I don't know what's going to happen here. And then I went over to make Slack, and I was like, oh my gosh, folks, how do I opt out? Who can help me opt out? Help me opt it out. Please opt out.
Opt me out. Opt me out now. I want out.
The conversation went from there. The emotions were a lot higher. I really do try to be super even, level-headed when I'm in WordPress Slack as much as possible. I have a really, really thick filter behind the keyboard and what happens in WordPress Slack.
So do I.
So
it's probably not as thick as yours, though.
Bottom line, though, is that the live preview, the Playground is awesome. It's really cool. It's a great idea. It should be super useful for everyone going forward at some point, for sure. But they got really excited about it and enabled it on every single plugin in the entire plugin directory, 65,000 plugins. And the problem is that the Playground environment is browser only, and they purposely limit the amount of PHP extensions that are enabled there because it's hard to test every single PHP extension to work in that environment. So it makes sense that they would limit that. But pushing it
because it's MySQL Lite, right? That's why.
No, that's a separate issue. SQLite is a flat file database thing, and that works great in
so it's separate from that altogether.
Yeah, PHP extensions are a whole different thing. And
PHP again.
Yeah,
our good friend
extensions all have to be tested individually to work in a browser environment. Cosper can explain this way better than I can, but a lot of the extensions that a lot of larger plugins use are not enabled in the Playground environment. That's one big issue. That was a Gives issue. The other big issue is that a lot of plugins are extensions of other big plugins, like all of the WooCommerce extensions that are out there in the world. And they often aren't coded in a way to fail gracefully. It's like if the core plugin isn't there, it just fails ugly, not gracefully.
Uglily.
The one plugin that it did work really well on was Suzette's Pinkify plugin. At least you could see that the background turned pink. And so it's really cool that worked really, really well.
Some of them work really cool. I actually tested out Yoast. Yoast is awesome in the Playground. Check that out. It was straight into the onboarding experience that was super smooth and awesome. I was like, this is ideal. And actually the Give onboarding experience is also really smooth if it didn't fatal error when you enable the Playground. So
Coblocks was in the original demos when they first launched Playground, and Coblocks is just an extra set of blocks. They do some great stuff with it, and it, just for record, it is one that I keep a good close watch on because I work at GoDaddy, and it's part of our stuff. So I keep watch on that one. So I love that it was in the demos. But then we have other things that, like, a lot of what came from the Skyverge team that all depend upon WooCommerce. So anything that has a plugin dependency, as Andy Fragan has pointed out, those ones that have plugin dependencies did not work.
Is it WooCommerce? That's the one. WooCommerce, right? That's
yeah. Lots of things depend on Woo, or other financial transactions.
There's an entire, and for some reason I was not putting this together. I knew this at one point, but and I was looking through the sessions, and I was like, why are these all WooCommerce extensions? This is so weird. Why is this all about WooCommerce? And then I was like, oh right, it's Woo. That's right. I forgot.
And also Jetpack.
I moved it to take notes
because it uses an API call.
Yeah. Okay, but even for blocks, it's a whole thing, because in current version of Chrome, current version of Firefox Developer Edition, current version of Arc, the block editor inside Playground does not function correctly. So I have block editor only plugins. I have a block, and that's great, and it technically does work, but the block editor in Playground right now doesn't work. The only browser I can get it to work correctly in is Safari.
Wow.
So here's my question. And this is not a question. This is not a rhetorical question, but this is not a question I think any of us can answer. But what's the rush? Why are we a big part of this, and was cited in the article in the what's it called? The repository. I don't think there's been anything in the tavern yet, right? So, because this literally is all just happening. But we had on Wednesday meeting in the Meta channel, which is in theory supposed to be the place where we talk about things that are coming up. So not only
who is we had a meeting in Meta? Who is we?
Me and Courtney.
Oh, right, yes. Right. So we've been facilitating the Meta meetings.
Yeah, the royal we, obviously. No, but so we literally have been, and in the repository's email, it refers to me as the marketing co-team rep. Totally accurate. However, in this context, I am one of two co-facilitators of the Meta team meetings, and have been for basically all of this year, along with Courtney. So we are there, and we are saying, hey, are there any projects being launched? Hey, are there any pages being launched?
Any tickets that we should look at? Help elevate.
We should look at. We've done this multiple times. We have open floors. We ask direct questions. I try to tag literally everybody in the world. And there were crickets. So we talked about lots of cool things, but this is
not one of them.
Not one of them. Didn't come up. It's like the blogs page. But not only that, but there was no, correct me if I'm wrong here, there's obviously no pre-announcement. Nothing went out to plugin developers. But there was also no announcement that it had happened at all, even a launch announcement, right?
Yeah.
No.
Correct.
Yeah. So everyone is literally scrambling to find information about something that affects 60,000 development groups, whether those are multiple people or whatever. That's a lot of code and across the world, without any notice.
So I want to ask one of the Jasons if you could share the Meta track ticket. The one place that the conversation was happening, even before the launch, was the Meta track ticket. And I tried to read all the Meta track tickets.
I tried so hard to read
into. There is a channel inside of Make WordPress Slack that is Meta-commits.
We need more eyeballs in that channel. If you want to come look at it with us.
So this is the place where it was announced from beginning to end. This is the place. And you'll see that there wasn't a lot of activity until it was launched. And then people went looking. And in concept, it's great. In theory, this is something that would be really cool to do. However, there's Hello Dolly with a preview on it, and you click the button and off we go. So it sounds kind of cool, but in practice, I didn't realize it was coming as soon as it was. I don't know if I saw this ticket even. Certainly, there was no elevation across the various teams. There was no call in for folks like Matt joining us today to come in.
I love that comment. Scroll up just a little bit. They're actually asking there, where should we launch this? And the reaction is, we should do all plugins up a little bit higher.
There's
right
an opt-out.
there.
We should
Right
still
there,
build an
right there,
opt-out
that one right
mechanism.
there, yeah.
Yeah.
My initial reaction is all plugins so that we're not playing favorites. So there's definitely conversation happening here about the implementation of it.
Well, Stephen here also talks about how it's not like all plugins will not work in the playground and there should be an opt-out. So this was brought up early on, but then I guess it was.
When we're talking about early on, I just want to reiterate for people listening, this is 4 weeks ago. This is happening right now. And so these questions are being brought up.
I'm torn about it though, because like literally there's so many things about the plugin directory or meta in general where we all have been like, geez, it's just a line of code. Can we just push it through? And it takes years for that to happen sometimes.
And then
that's
giant
what's so
things.
weird about this is that it actually is like, I want them to be more experimental about stuff like this, but with communication if possible.
Yeah, especially in light of the .com SEO listings of just a couple weeks ago. And are we still within a year since the stats of the plugin repo? I feel like
the active
we're
growth,
still,
I think that is,
we're still trying to rebuild trust of the plugin repo. So to then have another contention happening inside the plugin repo. And I do think that, you know, at the end of all of this so far, what we see as of now is that it was converted to opt-out after a bit, and then a few hours after that, it was just entirely removed for now because enough things were broken. And I cited in my response some of what Mika pointed out, that there were quite a few things that, like at least a third of the plugin repo would not work with this. And I think that all these different things would come in and opt out, or even knew that this is happening because, you know, we're talking with 2 other
60,000 people.
Some plugin devs that are on this episode together today, that are paying attention and would know. But there's a lot of plugins that it would have to go onto the roadmap if they're paying attention, and then they'll have to get to it when they get to it, right? Or they might not even realize that it's there for a while, and they're certainly not opting out. And if it's broken, well, that doesn't look right. So, yes, I'm glad for now that they have omitted it, but I think that we've got some work ahead of us where this can be a really cool feature. And I think
it's a fantastic concept. It's amazing.
So this is exactly the point, right? We have all of these things become about these conversations get totally like waylaid by the communication or the lack thereof, right? The conversation about the active growth stats. You know, I try to say this a lot, or I was trying to say this, but like the community is actually, of course there's outliers, but for the most part, it's reasonable people who understand business, who are trying to make it all work, right? Like no one is begrudging anyone else's like opinions or what they need to do. So the bulk of the plugin developers out there are interested, like you were saying, Matt, in moving forward, in doing cool things. But they just want to be included. And somehow the exclusionary part, even if it's inadvertent and just happening because everyone keeps busting through tickets, I don't know where that, I brought this up at the community summit, but that attitude that the community slows everything down or that things should just be done without any sort of announcement or process, this becomes the thing that slows us down. This becomes the thing that is the problem. This creates the animosity. The animosity is not about the playground or the live preview button. And I feel like if we did more, we as Make WP did more asking for help even and saying, hey, let's embrace the whole beta cycle concept. Like who wants to opt in for a test on their plugin? Right? Like put a call out. And I don't know, there's this whole marketing committee that could like, I don't know, help with that maybe if we were able to do anything. But at the very least, like a post could go out on Meta that says, hey, we're going to test this. We're going to do a beta testing period for a month and then try to launch it. Like this is not rocket science. Like that is a tried and true Like it's not revolutionary communication.
Right. And instead they just shoved it out into the world and gave everybody, all the plugin developers out there now know what theme developers for years had to suffer through when they would update a theme to the theme directory and end up like with none of the content in there, and say the fucking boat.
The boat.
That little boat.
The boat. This is I almost used I sent Jason some photos for the like thumbnail for this show, and I almost sent a picture of the boat, but I thought it would be like too esoteric, like
a burning boat
make any sense
sinking.
to people, because that boat has been in the theme live preview button for the entirety of forever.
Right.
And
we could have had a really good theme that had a whole wizard that would walk you through setting all that stuff up. It would have been bad freaking ass.
Okay, so that I'll just say is a different.
Only that existed somewhere.
Courtney's like, do not talk about that right now.
It's so weird.
Let's table that and work with Learn for pulling resources in. That's something that I will explore later, but that's not this. It
would be pretty sweet though.
It would.
But what the thing is Matt could have had the time to build out a really cool looking wizard type setup that would have like explained, here's how Give works, here's how you could like donate, here's how this thing could like there's some opportunities here for like really being able to showcase your theme or your plugin and really kind of show off what's happening there. And there's a lot of steps that are involved to get you there, Matt. I mean, you couldn't just be like, here you go. But if you could like stage something up that would have like, a campaign that's already set up that already had, some stuff in there that you could just go, look here, like you click on this and
I also am a podcast person. I have a tiny little up and coming podcast, WP Prog Talk. We talk, and we need to get Aruba on,
Leslie?
by the way. You're on my list, Aruba.
Are you literally recruiting guests on our show?
Yeah, I need to get Courtney.
What is that you said at the beginning? Wait. What was that you said at the beginning of the show, Casper? I think it's a line that you have. Yeah. Anyway.
Most influential.
That one.
We had a great episode last week with InstaWP from Vikas from InstaWP, where we talked about how plugin authors are really pushing hard to do live demos because people
they're amazing.
Forever ago,
for Chrome to launch.
You want to try out my plugin? You just install it on your site and you try it out. That was the way it was back then. It's not like that anymore. People are a lot more gun shy about just installing whatever random code on their website. And so they want a live demo. Live demos are a big deal and they're super useful. So it's a great feature. And honestly, like I want to give the Playground team a lot of grace in this whole thing. I just feel like they are running fast and they are like trying to do fun things really quickly. And I like that attitude and that spirit. It blew up in their face. Live and learn and move on.
Yeah,
like,
I want to.
We can make it happen.
Wait. I want to stop you right there because I agree with that completely. Right? These developers are doing their thing. They're moving forward, but we need to ask ourselves about the environment in which those decisions are being made. Because I'm telling you that the individual developers who are pushing these commits are not doing this without asking someone about it. So that decision is happening, but it is not happening in a place where it is openly being made. And I can almost guarantee you that the decision to push that commit button is not happening at the developer level.
If it were happening at the developer level, within Give, let me ask Matt, since you're overseeing, you've got teams of devs now throughout various Stellar products. Are your senior devs even the ones that are leading project managing as well, or are they just deving?
Our lead devs are overseeing the devs, and we have project managers who are project managing the projects. Yes, it's a complicated. Like today,
right?
Today,
so,
when
engineers will engineer, right? Engineers
what a
will
revolutionary
engineer.
Structure you've come up with.
And I love when you have contributors in the project, but engineers will engineer, and engineers do engineering well. I don't know that engineers do product launches or feature launches altogether on their own really well. They sometimes need to talk to people like myself that turn dev speak into human understandable somethings.
Cover your eyes. You press the button.
Experience at working for our company that now is part of Stellar. So in that regard, I think that there is a need throughout the project of further understanding and better comms with the teams. Part of my response was heavily leaning in on, have you talked to the plugin review team and or marketing team about this? Marketing could help by wordsmithing a newsletter that goes out to the plugin. We already email plugin owners, maintainers, when we have a big update saying, here's your field notes, go get it.
And we barely do that, though. I just want to point that out.
Right.
Like, that is a whole point of contention that I am
thing for Marcoms to even help with that, because I've been pushing on that for a couple releases.
Totally. Really has. And we're finally allowed to work on the code draft.
Right. So wouldn't it be great to tap into some of these other teams and start collaborating together and understanding what the project needs as a proper proposal? Because we've seen the blocks page go live recently that didn't have a proposal ahead of it. There was no awareness. It's just there it was. And that's been handled and dealt with. And again, these are people that I would call friends. You know, I've been hanging in the Meta channel and working with these folks for quite a while.
Me
I would
too.
consider them friends. And it's not for I don't know if they are in the positions they might be suspecting where they're being pushed to do something in a super timely manner by powers we don't see.
Come now.
I'm not sure about that.
Say that, but come now.
Still, the problem is that we're not communicating internally with teams in the project. We're not doing well at rebuilding the trust for areas of the project that have been suffering, like the plugin maintainers. They're not thrilled with the behavior of the plugin repo lately. So these are major areas of concern.
So here's the thing. We can't even get to the point where there is inter-team communication, because since this thing has happened, I have been watching Meta. I have been watching Meta Playground, and I have not seen anything there. All the discussions are happening somewhere else. So I'm just like, okay, these discussions are clearly happening, somewhere else. Alex and, Adam, everyone's been talking about it, and they decided to revert it.
Alex is not making that decision, right? Exactly.
So where is this happening? Why wasn't that discussion in that channel where we could comment or follow? So we can't even get to the inter-team communication thing. I would like to see a little bit more transparency in how things are happening just within a channel first.
Yeah. There you go.
Meta-Playground is the channel that is dedicated to the features of the playground. I watched Plugin Review channel, and I watched Meta.
Yeah, this reminds me so much of a book that I just reread, Hitchhiker's Guide, where this all happened, but the discussion around this happened, but it all happened in a channel. It was publicly posted. However, you had to go to this sub basement in this solar system.
Anybody could have got there.
Right.
And let's be clear, a track ticket is not public. I'm sorry, it's not. It is, but it's not.
Yeah, these processes need
I just realized
sunlight.
something. This whole time, code is poetry was a Vogon statement. My mind just exploded. I was like, oh, wow. Anyway, talk about lizard people. Now there's Vogon people. That's all I'm saying.
So should we have tested this on WordPress.com first before WordPress.org? I'm just curious.
Why do you have to throw gasoline on the fire? I'm
just curious.
We're all wounded. That's a great segue, because this is the problem. And I'm not trying to apply like relationship or interpersonal like psychology understanding to this, but at the even at scale, that's what humans are, right? We're not repairing the damage. We are continuing on and pretending it's not happening. This is why, not to reference any other things, but this is why I published my code of conduct violation, because continually something happens, everyone's upset, we're all hurt in some way, whether we're a plugin developer or, it's something on Twitter or it's whatever it is, active growth charts. And then we just like kind of forget about it. And some stuff came up in the recent Twitter stuff where people started, actually since the Twitter stuff, where people have started like commenting in on past hurts. Like 3 years ago, apparently WP was banned from any plugin name. And, Mika could probably speak to this in there. But, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying these old wounds are not being dealt with. It's still like this unanswered track ticket. It's an unresponded to email. Even in William Bay's thing that we posted in the show notes, or that Courtney linked to, he said he messaged Matthias about the media library because, and I also would really like to know what's going on with the media library. But, William is a photographer and has been talking about this, for like literally a decade. And he wants to be involved just for fun, just not even for fun, for his own use, for his own future. And he hasn't gotten a ping back from the lead of the project.
I will say though, like today, this morning, literally did feel reminiscent of other things where I was like, crap, are they really pulling this on me again? But it did go differently than other times. And that is encouraging.
Progress. Okay, I like that. That's a very positive attitude.
Last year, when they pulled the plugin stats away, I was like, they have to be reasonable. They have to understand that this was a bad move. They have to turn. I am still bothered that nobody understood how unreasonable that move was. That it was done at all, that it was done without announcement, that it was done without conversation, and that all the conversations that happened after that resulted in zero fruit. That to me is still very, very painful.
This is exactly what I mean.
Today wasn't that at all. Today
that's really great.
They listened and they acted very quickly. And that to me is encouraging. That's what I want to see the plugin directory be more of. I want to believe that if I speak up and that I'm not alone in my position with a bunch of other plugin authors, that everyone is reasonable and like, oh yeah, good point. You're right. We screwed up. Like, we'll do it better next time. Like, that's great.
That's great. Worth even extra emphasizing. I just really do appreciate the way Adam, Alex, and Steven, how they handled it. They would handle with incredible grace because people were upset, rightly so. But the people were upset, and maybe they didn't understand the perspective, but then they made that effort to do that, and I think that deserves so much more kudos than they have so far gotten.
Yeah,
so,
I think you're right, and I think that's great because we aren't aware of the pressures that they're facing on the wherever these decisions are taking place. And so I think that anyone who's able to handle that with grace and also take those actions is probably having some really difficult conversations, that aren't visible. And I appreciate people, doing that and bringing, I think they're probably, being reasonable and I appreciate that. That's, they're not being like not listening to you. So that's what we want more of. However, I would like to say that I think this is, there are some folks in the meta channel paying attention. There are, hopefully now there are more folks in those channels. It's really important for there to be plugin developers and plugin authors contributing to this, to the make world, and to be paying attention, because it can't just be on the people who are continually trying to surface information, like, for example, Courtney and myself. I know that plugins as a team, you can't join, basically, right? Like you can't,
you can apply.
It's its own, right, you can apply now, but it is understandably its own thing. But again, exactly, it's the plugin review team. But there are still other areas that discuss plugins. We discuss plugins every 2 weeks during the meta meeting. So there are places for plugin developers to be, to contribute in terms of like being there and paying attention and offering the developer perspective from outside the bubble. And I think that is extreme because of all the not welcome signs that are up around the plugin review team, around, a lot of meta in general. It's easy to stay away. I get it. But we have made it a nicer place. And even if we're not finding out the information still, we're closer, right? We're closer to accountability. We're closer to that. So if there were more of us, there are more of people outside the bubble there, then the bubble gets bigger. And maybe we can even get to a point where we are able to catch this stuff before it goes out And someone can just say, hey, I'm going to flag this for the marketing team to put in their what's new in WordPress monthly newsletter, or to put just a ticket about, or to make an amplification post about, or whatever. Like, in theory, the resources are there. In theory, the structure is there. We don't have nearly enough eyeballs looking and being a part of this. So this is what I hope we all take out of this. And maybe, if you could spread that word amongst your colleagues.
I got a special @mention in WordPress Slack just today or yesterday from Say Reed. So
I did
adequately lambasted.
We moved the meta team meeting will now be in 2 weeks on at 1900 hours UTC in the meta channel. So feel free to show up. I tried to tag everyone who said they were pledged to meta that I recognized that had been involved.
I have been in those meetings before. That's why.
I
got the little badge on purpose. I've been there.
I tagged everybody. So please try to join. That's all I can say. Like, that's my takeaway is
participate.
Yeah, I feel like a nerd for kind of doing this, but effectively say, I feel like what you're saying is don't boo, vote.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I'm saying boo and vote. I'm saying boo.
I'm actually, I can say boo all you want. Don't just say boo. Also vote.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yes. Don't just say boo. Like,
okay, that's not fair.
Involved.
Because not everyone has the capacity to do more than sometimes boo, and there can be value in it when it's done appropriately.
All you can do, you need to boo in the right spot.
In the right way too. There's a productive way to do so as well.
If you come say at the meta meeting, hey, I saw this ticket, and then put it in there, you don't have to do much else. Or, hey, by reading a ticket that's in the meta things, you say, that doesn't seem like a good idea. Maybe we should do this. Like, I cannot stress how much just reading asynchronous meeting minutes in the various Slack channels can be useful, because it feels futile. It feels like you're not doing anything, but at the very least, it becomes a tracking where we can track sort of like, this person said this is some opinion here. Maybe we should flag this. And it's not all just, oh, Courtney thinks this and Say thinks this. Like, we can represent people, but we need all those voices, even if
totally. Even this morning when it all was going down, like before I chimed in at all, I went and I tried to search for meetings where that ticket was mentioned. I tried to search for anywhere where Playground was mentioned in meta in any way whatsoever.
It has not been.
Just in order, because I didn't want to be like, what the heck, people, nobody's talking about this, and here it is. And I didn't want to be wrong and be like, actually, no, everybody did talk about it. I just wasn't paying attention.
I mean, that's how I felt about the blocks page, because literally facilitating the meta meetings, which is supposed to oversee the website, and facilitating and being present for every single thing that's going on in marketing. I'm like, how? I know we did not talk about this, like, unless it was like last year. And this is just like, I know we did not talk about it. So the fact that you went in there and looked, like, is that next step. Like, maybe people are talking about it and you could join that conversation.
Yeah.
But so sometimes they're just not talking about it.
Yeah. Like today, I was like, I saw the track ticket. That was the only mention I saw. So.
Yeah, and it was mentioned outside of like the auto post thing, right? That posts all the meta stuff there.
Automatic post, not autos post.
Sorry, not autos post, but the automatic posting. Outside of that, I think there was one mention, just one, in a playground meeting.
Oh yeah, in the playground.
That was
but I was definitely not looking in that channel.
Definitely, and I wouldn't expect it to be there, right? Like that's
not a place where you would during that.
Even if it's playground.
Copper's point is like, go down to the basement, turn left, like and there it is. It's like totally
like it's
public
a playground feature, but it's on the plugin repo, so it shouldn't really be a playground decision. It should be a plugin and playground decision, but primarily led by people who are meta. Anyway, I have a whole feelings about that too. So
there's some feelings. Fun fact: I actually have started a track ticket to diagram the Slack channels. So if you want to help me do that, I would love your help with that, because there are decisions.
Okay, you're gonna have to share the ticket.
I will share the ticket in the show notes and in the chat, but I have started let's document the Slack channels, because I mean, the whole reason I'm in Meta is because when I had a conversation one-on-one with Matt Mullenweg about the political plugins in the repo, I asked the same question, which I keep asking everyone constantly, is where are we having these conversations? Even Matt Cromwell here asked that on Twitter a couple weeks ago. He's like, this isn't the right place for this conversation. And I'm like, look, man, I don't know where
I remember even responding to that, like, hey, I'm in the Meta is DevOps, man. Like, we're not talking there.
I mean, and today too, I didn't go to Twitter again today because I'm just like, I can gripe and complain about it, and people will be like, yeah, that sucks. But
well, Twitter is like, if you need people to know about something.
Because I feel like that's where they're going to make a decision to change it. So.
I think
going back to Riba's point,
that,
you have to communicate in public, and the most public that we've found so far is some type of social media place that you can start posting these things at. Like that is the place to do it.
WordPress.org social media, we're able to partner with the marketing team, get some stuff written that reaches out to the plugin devs across social media saying, come in here to have the conversation, please. Call them in.
Do we have a way?
What world do you live in, Courtney? It's like rainbows and sunshine over there. Just kidding.
I
live in your world too.
If we all expended all of our efforts today in the Make channel and tried to make change happen, and they were like, oh, we hear you, but nah, we're going to leave it there. Tomorrow or Monday, you better believe I'd be on Twitter. Like at that stage, I'd be like, I did what I could do, just like you have been. Then that was your point. It's like,
that was
I've
my
done
point.
that thing, Matt. Like, yes,
I've done so many of that thing.
Yeah, I've done those things. But when folks are like, when it's like you're talking to a wall, then you got to be like, hey, folks, everybody needs to pay attention to this issue now. So,
well, just to continue that analogy, we need more people here so we can boost ourselves over this wall. And that's what we go to social media or blog posts or, group chats or whatever. And we need to tell people, like, I know I had this conversation actually at WordCamp US. I think it was part of the summit. It was in an unofficial, side chat. Someone was talking about making another offsite project. And I'm like, can you just please do this in Make? Like, I know it sucks. I know it's like molasses. I know it's hard because no one knows who to ask permission from. But the truth is, if we don't make the things there, then we are ceding all of our control, all of our, that's the official place where this stuff is happening. And if we don't have the conversations there or bring the conversation there, then we don't, like, it's not going to happen through Twitter. And Josepha and I had a conversation recently about this with regard to the annual survey that none of the marketing team even knows anything about, which we're going to talk about next Tuesday at the Make marketing meeting. She said, oh, we're not doing, let's not do business on Twitter or whatever. And I was like, okay, but let's have you come to the meeting here at this time. And so ironically, we were doing business on Twitter because I drew attention to it. Like, me having a one-on-one conversation about that is not public. So I am against just DMing people for those conversations. I'm done with that. I'm done with the DMs. I'm done saying, hey, what about this? Because then it's just me versus everybody, like the entire apparatus that operates with this weird, kind of Borg-like force, right? Like, as opposed to when I bring, all of us into the conversation, I'm not fighting this battle by myself. And even if it's not a battle, it's not just like Say's problem, I'm willing to be the lightning rod here, but not for much longer. So everyone needs to hurry the F up and get in here. I am tired of being the lightning rod. Okay. Anyone who's in this, listening to this podcast or commenting on this podcast, I am asking you, I've been asking you for the last time. Well, I'm asking you for what's that Bernie thing? I'm asking you for yet another time. Please come to some freaking meetings. So chime into your Make Slack. It's really annoying because you got to figure out what email it's attached to with your WP thing. Get into your Make Slack, ping me and say, tag me where you need me. And I will tag you where I need you.
I think the most important issue that we circled on is the way in which this whole thing has eroded trust in the community, in the plugin ecosystem community. Yeah. And like, I would love for folks to get into Make, to have investment in there, so that whatever the next big move is, let's say like we are pushing some new stats out to the plugin pages. Maybe we're going to do that. Like if we all did that and it was like something that actually was communicated and had some sort of consensus and it actually happened, like that would push trust up so much. Like it would really it wouldn't do everything because there's too much, but it would do a lot. It would really bring us a long ways. But it really does take folks to actually show up and do it, and to actually have something that actually makes a physical change in one way or another, because we've had too many instances where we just get side slapped and like, oh crap, not again.
Yeah, and giving a shout out to what say use the specific word asynchronous. If the reason that you're not in the meetings is that you can't be in the meetings because you've been in work at that time, like whatever the reason, asynchronous is also totally fine with a lot of us, because asynchronous means that you read it when you come back to the time span to read it. What really is important is that you do make the time to do that, especially if it is really relevant to your work. I would advocate for devs to talk with their managers. Hopefully they get time to experiment with the calls for testing that go out to test some of these new features. I remember perhaps first time I might be publicly airing this. After going through one of the calls for testing, I remember specifically thinking, because I was still working at the events calendar, just about wrapping up my tenure there. And I basically was like, the events calendar hooks into Customizer. And if Customizer is gone from the first block theme that we're rolling out, then how do people get to change the settings that are in the Customizer? So I was anonymously in comms with people at the tavern to make sure that got featured. Well, I figured that out because I went through the call for testing. So talk to whoever you need to talk to so that you get some time to focus on this. If this is very correlated to your job, and if it matters to the company that they know what's going on, start talking to them. I'm happy to advocate and speak to whomever I can help speak to. I don't care if it's my company or somebody else's company, why it really matters to do these things. Why
literally like an hour a week. If you read the show notes, the meeting notes, like that's you don't have to even like do anything.
Kind of a show.
It is kind of a show. Just read through it and be like, this is what's happening. That's literally it. Like I like people feel so much that contribution has to be making something, but it is not. It is knowing something. Like
being informed to have a good opinion.
Yeah.
I'm a stalker. I stalk all the things.
I lurk everywhere. I'm in the reaction emojis everywhere.
Yeah.
If only we knew somebody who does a regular update on what's happening in the Make world.
I don't know anyone like that.
What? Actually, this week, I will say, as soon as today's episode of Water Cooler wraps, I will be publishing my post-status weekly roundup. The reason being, I had some family members that were in the hospital this week, others that were dealing with recovering from COVID. My kiddos have been battling all sorts of things. So if you've noticed that I might be sporadic and not quite on my game since like the middle of August.
Feeling bad. She's like, oh, I'm 2 days late on my complete labor of love that like summarizes everything that's happening in WordPress. I'm so sorry.
To be clear, I get to do this on the clock. Like
still, like you created this thing and you put it on post status because it doesn't exist in Make. First of all, actually, not first of all, but I want to take this moment to say that the other thing that you created in Make WordPress is actually very valuable for people who don't have a lot of time, which is make.wordpress.org/latest, where you can literally see all of the posts that have happened on Make.
And if I've got anybody that would volunteer
to fix the file for the future.
Help. No. It's about the /latest. /latest. One of the things I want to do is filter down the RSS so that from polyglots, I'm not getting Polyglot's team uses it kind of weird. We want to filter it down so that it's only their like agendas and recaps that show up. Their team site. And there's other ones that are also a little bit strange that way. Plus, there are some GitHub repos that I watch that aren't attached directly to a team. And I want GitHub issues
where a lot of the meta stuff happens. I got to tell you, a lot of meta stuff happens in GitHub these days.
I would like to have GitHub issues come in over RSS. There is a custom plugin, Meta built. Also, we are using the classic theme until we get all of the make sites redesigned. So with the classic theme, we're a bit limited in what the block editor tools allow us to do in terms of designing on this site. So if we've got people that are like, wow, we really believe this /latest belongs in a nav menu somewhere so people know about it because they can refer to it, come in and do the last bit of polish. Volunteer some time for the last bit of polish to get it over that line so that we can get it in a nav bar if you think it valuable enough that others could benefit from it. What it is just an RSS board of all the teams. And also in the footer, I've got some links. I'm going to append some more. I've got some links to the obscure places like the old IRC logs, and Browse Happy and the swag store and a few other things that people don't know about. But I also want to link to a lot of the common dependencies that we have in WordPress. So I do this in the post status version. And in the post status version of it, I check what's the versions of PHP for devs, some other things like that. So these are all the official sites and sources. And down at the bottom, there's some extra helpful links. But it's just the RSS of all the things so that I have a tool. Frankly, I built this so that I could track the things to help elevate through the post status version of this, which just happened this last week. In the post status version, you'll see that I curate it down a little. I separate meetings out from agendas and those things. And I direct send this to Say and a few others in the project. I can't do it for everyone. So please just try and watch Twitter and or post status for kind of links to the things. And one other shout out I'd like to give real quick is that there is a Chrome extension for InstaWP that if you as a user want to spin up a demo, it still doesn't give the plugin owners too much control, but I think it solves the PHP issues that we were seeing yesterday. You can actually run a Chrome extension, use it at your own discretion, but there is a Chrome extension for InstaWP to launch a demo site that way until we see that the playground would be a suitable option for everything.
And it will be because it is amazing.
Yep.
And InstaWP does offer MySQL and PHP with most of the extensions enabled and everything else. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
I just want to point out, because you were talking about the nav bar, that's actually something that is one of those kind of like hidden things that's happening. There was just a analysis done by a automatic sponsored contributor, which is a nice analysis of all the H1s and the nav bar header tags. I'm assuming in preparation for the continued redesigns. And not only is that happening from a SEO standpoint, but I also found somewhere else, these are just like threads that you have to like weave together into understanding what is happening. Somewhere else that the showcase, which is the much beleaguered showcase, which has had open comment happening in a lot of places, is going to be, and I don't know who made this decision because I was not part of it, but I did just see it yesterday that it is going to be in a top nav item. So it will be next to news, presumably. So it'll be like news and then showcase to show off everything that's going on in there. I do have some belated comments to make about that in a thread somewhere because WordPress VIP is one of the flavors that's mentioned. So I think that it's very important for us to pay attention to these things in the Vogon sense, because even if there isn't an announcement or something, you know, in the case that this stuff has been being discussed in some track or some GitHub repo somewhere, you know, we could say it's not public, but other people can say that it is public, right? So we can define what standards we want for announcements and information and decisions that are being made in the project. But as it is right now, you know, that's where we're noticing. So that is why we need to, you know, really be watching. Like if we don't want the showcase to be in the main nav, I don't know where that decision is being made. I mean, I can speculate same decisions about where this, you know, live playground was made. And you could take, you know, maybe the state of the word from December, in which the playground made its debut as what might be important to look at. So, you know, how JavaScript was like our clue, the Gutenberg was coming and we were going to go, you know, all JavaScript and React and fun times. So, it isn't being done completely behind the scenes. Those decisions are being made, et cetera, but we got to bridge that gap in the middle.
But when they post into when I was looking around for what conversations were happening and whatnot, I stumbled on another controversial thing where SiteGround was just removed from the hosting page on .org.
We saw that happen in Meta.
Yeah, we saw that happen in live time, and
it just happened. But that's the thing, it's getting posted there as done. So all of a sudden now it's all just reactive stuff. There's no.
That wasn't even a track ticket. That was just a track change set.
That was just a commit message.
It's just
that commit message actually,
public, but it's after the fact at this stage.
Yeah, that commit message was actually mentioned in because it's an issue, so we're just tracking things neutrally, not for any specific purposes. But that was something that we mentioned in Wednesday's
the last couple
meetings. Yeah, the last couple of weeks, but specifically this Wednesday, where there is some dialogue about that I have respectfully removed myself from. But it is I don't know if there's getting more comments because I unnotified myself of that thread. But if you want to go back, anyone who's interested can go back to Wednesday's meeting in Meta and see it because it's all there. So you can go look at it, why that decision was made. And it is the dev who did it says what the decision was and how it was made. So, I mean, we can be as generous as we want with these interpretations, but unless we are holding ourselves and our project accountable, that's it. That's the only the project is not governing itself. We are the ones who need to hold ourselves accountable. And when I say ourselves, I mean our entire community, which includes everybody in it. From the BDFL to the paid devs to the whomever it is, that's the community, and we need to hold ourselves accountable.
Yeah, I do want at some point somebody to help to quantify the lift that the plugin and theme community gives to WordPress project as a whole. One way or another, we need to quantify this because these voices are not just voices that are just hey, I don't like this. They actually represent how the project itself gets adopted in many, many, many ways.
That is a really important point.
Yeah, folks don't jump onto WordPress because they like posts and pages. They jump on WordPress because they want an events calendar, because they want a donation form, because they want a really sexy theme. That's why they jump onto WordPress.
They want dynamic content.
Yeah.
They want to be able to showcase things and show cool maps and have dashboards for their various users.
The consequences of continuing to just push the project and ignore whatever the plugin ecosystem believes and wants and feels is that it's going to hurt the project long term. I was really hoping that Mike McAllister with Ollie would actually prefer to distribute on his own. Mostly that's just selfish of me. He should do what's best for him. But selfishly, I was I want to see how this goes. I really want to see how it goes for him to have this trouble and then just be damn it, I'm doing it on my own, and then see how it goes. Because I have a feeling as long as we continue to have these types of issues, more and more folks who are plugin authors and theme authors are going to be damn it, I'm going to do it on my own, because I just don't want the innovation that I've created to become a public controversy around the theme development, the theme directory. Why should I have to deal with that? I should just be able to serve my users and my customers the way I want to. So I don't know. I am worried about that reality that the more that things get eroded, the harder it is for the project going forward.
At the end of the day,
I still
Matt,
believe you, though, say that the answer to that is that plugin authors should have more involvement in Make, for sure.
At the end of the day, this is an open source project. At the end of the day, it has its rules and its structures set up. And whether or not those structures are being taken advantage of, or there's loopholes or whatever in having an army of people paid to do what you tell them to do, it's still just a loophole. Open source is open source. That's what this is. And wherever the sponsorships come from or whatever the corporate ties are, those are valuable, but it is not what makes the project itself. And it is, we make the project. I cannot, like, there is no project without all of this, there is just WordPress.com, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's not what we are all using. That's not what we're all making stuff for, right? We're making stuff for something else. So at the end of the day, this project is open source. And if we hold it accountable to its open sourcery, then, I don't see, at the end of the day, I do not see how we can actually lose. It's kind of like if we held our own government in the US, accountable, but we don't. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Accountability. Let's do it. A couple years ago, governance was the watchword, but I think the watchword should be accountability. So,
and that, folks, is a show. Thank you very much for coming and hanging out with us. We really appreciate it. I gotta go. We gotta go, and we need to wrap up. So, thank you very much, folks. Talk to you all later. You have a good one.
Bye.
Show notes.
Thanks for a long chat.
See ya.
Hey, listen to us wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah.
Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, the YouTube, the Facebook. We're not on that weird one anymore. But tune in. This is Death.